Hey everyone, really excited for this chat today with a true thought leader and innovator in the telecom service provider arena from Beyond Now. Angus, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Great to be here.
Well, good to see you. Really excited for this chat as a 30 plus year veteran of the telecom industry. We have a lot to talk about, lots of change and disruption ahead. Before that, maybe introduce yourself as the business leader at Beyond Now, and a little bit
Sure.
about the company, which is a relatively new brand, but you've been around for a while.
Yeah, we have been. We've been around for 30 years, actually. We come out of really a tech business, and we've been serving the telecoms market, for 30 years. We productized a BSS back in 2006, and really from about 2014, we pivoted really towards digital business platforms and looking at how new business models would work on our software. So we're really almost pioneering the idea of multi-sided business models. We were influenced by a professor at MIT called Jeff Parker, who wrote Platform Revolution. And we've really been, I guess, one of the few companies who's really been there and done it over the last 10, 12 years. We're one of the companies who really have, customers doing, what was a book at the time. And I've been CEO of that business since 2017. So my background is management consulting. I'm a finance guy originally, if you excuse me for that. I started off at KPMG in my career. I worked for one of the big strategy firms as well, and then spent a career in consulting, doing all kinds of transformation programs, and I guess stepping up to look at platform business models and the transformational changes that telcos have to make. I've had a lifetime studying that.
Well, I'm honored to have you here, and I have so many questions around those topics. First, I'd love to dive in. You talked recently about the imperative for telcos to move from telco to techco, which
Yeah.
is a big shift in mindset and other aspects of the business. Maybe talk about that at a high level. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I think there's a number of different transformations. I think one of the big changes is techco starts with the customer and the problems you're trying to solve. So rather than being, like telcos have been very centrally organized, with where business, these business cases and everything is centralized in order to spend cash. Whereas, in a techco model, if you look at any of the big hyperscalers, it really starts off with the customer and the problems you're trying to solve, and really goes back from there. And it also looks into new business models. How do you do more than just the connectivity, but how do you work with partners and an ecosystem to create really compelling solutions that perfectly solve that customer's problem? And so the techco, is a broad transformation. It is more B2B focused, whereas telcos have been very B2C focused. That's another
Mm.
topic of discussion. But also looks at how to monetize 5G. It looks how to create a greater share of wallet for customers and having a deeper, more meaningful relationship with the customer. But also it means how do you transform your operating model as well as your business model and become more digital? And how do you actually engage digitally? If you look at any of the hyperscalers, they will engage online through marketplaces, and you can discover and give the full life cycle online with assisted sales and a great customer journey, leveraging tools like AI and other tools to really get a compelling customer experience was super simple. And then how do you extend into adjacencies to add new partners, new revenue streams, and new solutions, so the partner, once they love you, they really love you, and they buy more from you.
Well, it's a nice concept. Let's hope we can see it come to fruition with your help. And how would you describe the CSP landscape today? I know it's very varied per country, per region, but maybe describe the current economic outlook, the competitive outlook. Uh, is this the best it's going to get, or
I
what
think
can
it's
we
tough.
expect?
It's definitely tough. We're seeing a lot of pressure, a lot of, if you look at revenue growth in consumer, single digits. I don't know, whatever study you pick up, it talks about 0 to 1 to 2%. So it is super low, highly competitive, lots of new, competitors. I think that, people are looking more to the B2B side as an opportunity to grow revenue. A lot of the telcos have a super leveraged balance sheet, and so there's
Mm.
high levels of debt, and their room for maneuver is limited, and so they're under huge cost pressure. And I think there's a lot of the tools out there, like digital transformation, use of things like AI, And anything they do, what they really have to do is look at how do I take out costs in parallel with doing other things. So when we talk about, techco, for example, going back to that topic, it's really around three things. How do I digitalize my operating model to super automate everything, so that I can sell and market digitally. I can, customers can discover solutions digitally and then configure them themselves, maybe with some assisted sales, and then automate all the downstream processes in terms of orchestration and fulfillment of those orders and monetization of the end invoices, but also working with the partners. But then in parallel, how do I digitally transform my customer experience? And so I have a super cool customer experience. And so it's super simple for customers to navigate. And how do I also make sure that if I have a fantastically low cost and cost effective operating model, I have a super effective customer experience. We're using AI and lots of new tools, and it's a great customer experience, and customers want to buy more from me. How do I upsell them, and how do I make sure that the opportunities are there really then to grow revenue on the back of a great customer experience and super competitive pricing?
Yeah, great point. And with the business leaders that you engage and speak with every day, do you think CSPs are willing to take more risks to innovate and invest in
Yeah.
innovation and new business areas? Or are they thinking, okay, how can I de-risk my investments?
So I think I would separate personal risk.
Yeah.
Do I personally want to do something different from corporate? And I think a lot of the risk here is, in a multi-sided business model where you have an ecosystem of partners, really what the CSP brings is their customer relationship. That's what they're bringing to the party. And they're really relying on the partners to co-create, co-innovate, and co-invest with them. So if you look at things like AI and all those new technologies, it's not necessarily requiring the telco to take huge risks. A lot of it is often, working with the partners or leaders in their fields who take a lot of that risk. But I think there's deeper changes required in order to work with partnerships. So, for example, the famous telco procurement functions. How do you work with partners, and how do you work with a lot of smaller companies? So, for example, a lot of the great innovators are some of the smaller companies. New technology like AI comes along. There's some big guys and there's some small guys. How do you make sure that the partners you can attract? It's a win-win for the partners, and that once you start on the journey, you continue on that journey. You don't start, stop. And there's a great partner journey. So not just customer journey, but partner journey in terms of enabling partners to actually come along, co-invest with you, and have a great experience. They see it's a real win-win in terms of working with this massive telco, for example, that they can bring that innovation to the fore. And so I think for me, it's not just about the telco taking risks. It's all really around how do you create that ecosystem? How do you get the right partners? A lot of telcos also got venture arms. So how do you use your venture arm successfully as well? How do you pick maybe 3 or 4 areas, maybe vertical industries? There's a number of different strategies. Some want to start with a connectivity core and move gradually out from that core, offering security and other things around that core. Others want to pick, industries like automotive and fleet management, buildings or mining, for example, because they're really relevant in their own economy. And so I think there's different strategies in order to go on that journey, and then finding the right partners and creating the right environment for the partners to be successful with your organization. And that the partners really see it as a win-win, and they want to work with you because there's no guarantee they do want to work with you, so you need to be attractive to them as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. You mentioned AI. We're only a few minutes in, so let's get on with it. But what is in reality the practical relationship between what CSPs are doing and AI, and how can CSPs leverage AI as part of this strategy that you described?
Oh, you use such a wonderful word there. You use reality. So anyone who knows the Gartner hype curve knows exactly where AI is on that curve. It's super hot. There's a lot of hype, lots of experimentation, pilots, but there's a gap between only about 15% of companies are successfully using it at scale, and that means really not running thousands of pilots and prototypes and experiments, but really focusing on those use cases which are have a huge impact on your business and have a high probability for success. And so it's really around zeroing in on those opportunities which really do have a big impact for you. And then really, can be able to combine all the different tools, not just having, using one, Gemini 1.5 as your tool or OpenAI, but really being able to combine the different tools to drill out the outcomes and really being able to actually achieve the target benefits. And so it requires a huge amount of focus. It means going beyond the pilots and killing off a lot of the pilots, but really to get down to the real use cases which are going to make a real difference for you, and then having relentless grind to get the benefits out, and then showing that you can do it at scale, and and banking those benefits. So I would see, getting from the top of the hype curve down to the sort of, I don't know what it's called, the trough of reality or whatever it is. It's the hard yards to really get, the end-to-end solutions which actually bank the benefits and really prove out the use cases.
Yeah, well said. Let's keep an eye on that. You talk a lot about the B2B opportunity and customer challenge in your speaking. And I think it's such an overlooked market, in my humble opinion. Particularly small businesses and SMEs just aren't well served by many telcos. What do you think CSPs should do to thrive in this segment and really solve B2B challenges?
I think there's a gap between the very large corporates, the multinationals, where it's super hard to make money, and they're super, everything is going to be hyper tailored, and they're very specific, and it's, they're hard to make money, and that going through rounds and rounds of procurement is very hard for telcos to make money at the very largest. And then you've got down to the SMBs, and the SMBs is a different challenge. The margins are definitely higher than in consumer, but with I can talk about marketplaces. For the SMB marketplace, you have to get everything right, because you can't put your hands around 2 million customers. You have to rely on that digital channel. It goes back to what I said: it's a hyper automated operating model, digitalize that operating model, have that great customer journey, so that people can discover things digitally. And then they can self-configure, and they can have got snackable products. They can try a bit, and they like it, try a bit more. It's a super simple customer journey, and then it's extending out the product range. I think one of the great things, and let me loop back to AI again, because I think that what AI does is it revolutionizes some of those customer journey things. So you might think of because it's online, you can only sell simple things online. And I think what AI is showing, that actually you can make more complicated things simpler. And so using AI, if you say, we've got a great demo with farmers, for example, where farmers can ask natural language questions, and what is a relatively sophisticated product can be made simpler in terms of the way you interact with the digital channel, and enables people who are not that highly IT literate to buy solutions in a simple way to prove out simple use cases using natural language to say, I've got too many weeds in my field, or how do I get my crop yields up? Those kind of questions, rather than going into tech speak and asking about things in tech speak. So I think what we're seeing with those digital channels is that things like AI are revolutionizing that customer interaction, that customer journey, and the recommendations, and enabling much more sophisticated solutions to be sold online in simple ways that people can understand.
Wow, that would be refreshing, to say the least. Now, in this transition, there's a lot of technical debt in telecom. As you know, this industry is over 100 years old. First phone call in Boston, by the way, so we take credit for that. But literally, legacy infrastructure in the ground, copper, and all kinds of legacy hardware and software. How do you modernize and upgrade, and not just the thinking, but the infrastructure, given all this legacy?
So kind of we started off this conversation when we talked about our journey. We were owned by a large management consulting firm, and then we stepped out as an MBO in 2021. And one of the things we found that when we stepped out our MBO was that we needed a whole bunch of things. We needed fixed mobile, we needed Microsoft 365, we needed some security software, we needed a dozen things. And we went along to our local telco and say, look, hey, it's a long list of things, and we like to buy this as a package of the different things. We need some IT support desks, all these different things we need. And what the telco said, well, actually, we can't really help you. Here's 12, 14 telephone numbers within our organization. Go and contact each of these people, and maybe they can help you. And so,
Wow.
this idea of, what's happening in telco is that every time they launch a new product, they buy a new bunch of IT, which supports that one product line. So IoT, ICT, connectivity, B2B, B2C. And so you end up with a highly stovepipe organization. And if you're going to flip the model and start off with a customer, and start off with the customer journey, then you've got to create a single umbrella customer experience, and you've got to create a horizontal platform that makes it really simple for the customer to find what they want and to buy what they want from you. And that customer journey make it super, super simple to navigate. So I think the journey starts off with the customer and works its way back and says, how do we actually create a single umbrella customer experience which enables the customer to come along using natural language or whatever, and actually discover super simple ways to find what they need, buy what they need, have a great buying experience from you, and then buy the next set of stuff. And so, yes, I think technical debt and all these things are a problem. The stovepipe nature of the telco is a problem. The fact that each function's got its own IT, and that you can't do things horizontally around the customer. And so, total telecoms selling everything that we offer to you, the customer, is an incredibly, incredibly difficult thing to do. And I think, starting from the customer and working back and using things like AI and digital channels to create that single umbrella customer experience. And then when you bring the partners in and everything else within that single umbrella, means that you can actually create rich solutions that people can quickly try out and see if they like, and go from there.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something to see? As a recovering management consultant, you see you know a lot about KPIs, key performance indicators, and metrics, and other ways to measure success. What should they be measuring, monitoring, and how are they doing? Is it Net Promoter Score? But is it other ways to measure customer experience in the business?
I think the problem is that we see the rise in the importance of things like B2B, revenue and profit, but things like ARPU are still incredibly important, and a lot of the mindset of telcos is still around the consumer and mass consumer markets and standardized products and basically building a network, then creating products, then selling those products to customers, and starting off from what we want to sell rather than what customers want to buy. And so for me, I think a lot of the metrics, we need to sort of invert the model and start off with a customer, things like customer satisfaction, things like, share of wallet, things like, the SMB market, for example. It's, the SMB market, they don't have a huge wallet. And, they spend money on, ICT applications, ICT services, telecommunications. And so you really need to take 100% of that wallet. You need to be targeting to bring together all the various pieces so you can address 100% of that wallet, and maybe even looking to increase the wallet size by looking at great solutions which help automate problems the customer's got. And so for me, if you get into B2B, it's really starting off with the customer metrics, in terms of the buying journey, and really looking at how a tech business would run itself, and looking at the metrics in terms of how successfully you market and you sell, how successfully the customer journey is online, whether people the dwell time on your website, how easy is it for people to complete transactions, whether they abandon things. When I go back to my experience with an MBO, it was a shocking experience, and there was no way to provide that feedback. And I don't think the telco we worked with ever knew that we were trying to buy 14 products and and ended up buying nothing more than connectivity from them, because it was such an impossible journey to buy anything else. So how no metric like revenue or profit tells you that full picture.
Yeah, what really interesting insight. You mentioned marketing. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. I mean, traditionally, telco marketing has been pretty boring, pretty uninspiring. That changed a bit years back when John Ledger at T-Mobile, kind of shook things up on the marketing front and really made telecom a bit exciting again. How can telecom improve their image, overcome the legacy of having bad service and bad customer support, which has improved, I must say, over the years? But what has to happen next, do you think?
I think that one of the challenges with marketing is that for the mass consumer markets, you are, everyone's got the same problem they're trying to fix, which is, around connectivity. And it's a very recognizable problem. Once you go away from that mass consumer market, everyone's got different problems. The problems a law firm is
Mm.
trying to solve, maybe around security and other things, may be different from what a farmer's trying to solve. And so you go away from very standardized approaches to marketing. And also, you need to look at technology and how do you, if you move to digital model, how do you engage digitally with customers and mass personalize things? And how do you really target the problems, they're experiencing using Google data and other sources of data? And how do you really personalize that? And so, it's a very different challenge. And it's really, how do you move into the digital age? How do you actually say to a customer, I recognize, many people have got this problem, and people go, oh, I've got that problem. I'm going to come to you for a solution. If you just talk about, a standard problem in connectivity, which is how the traditional approaches work, it's never going to work in, SMB and the B2B space. You need to be much more specific around the verticals, the industries, the priorities that, that you've got, and really marketing to a specific problem that you are able to solve. And then using things like your digital channels, AI-based marketing, and those kind of tools, which can mass personalize, emails and other correspondence to make sure that you're really getting to people who you think have got that problem, which you can perfectly solve. And it's not going to be the generic connectivity one, like cheaper SIMs or whatever. It's going to be things around, how do we help farmers? How do we help small businesses? How do we help people in fast food restaurants? One of the great, high margin sectors that people like in SMB are the professional services, people like physios, doctors, dentists, because, they spend more time with customers and they earn a lot more money, and they don't like doing the back office stuff. And so how do you get that right, that kind of, approach to marketing where, you actually get the problems that they are looking to solve, and use data and be data driven to do it?
Yeah, that's really well said. I have a friend who runs a managed service provider, a small company. Shout out to Unified Office up in New Hampshire. And they serve primarily quick serve restaurants. And they just know exactly what, the quick serve, the pizza chain owners want and need.
And this is
And it's, by
exactly
the way,
it. It's not just the original sale, it is the ongoing relationship. And so it's that ongoing relationship. And having the ICT support services, when you ring up, you've not got some offshore call center who's no idea, but the whole customer journey, customer experience. So you've got a specialist, maybe ICT support service there, who specialize in a particular sector. When someone rings up, they understand exactly the problems the customer's got. They show empathy. They're from the same geography as the customer base. So you have seen a lot of CSPs acquiring ICT services businesses to cover their geography who specialize in SMB. So that's been a real trend, I think. You see, acquisition. People understand that the SMB market requires, a little bit more specialist support. People are not as IT literate as with the large corporates who've got big IT functions. Never, you must get the customer service and the customer support right. It's a great example you gave me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, so tell us in our final few minutes here a little bit about your proposition at Beyond Now as a digital platform provider, a sort of ecosystem orchestration provider. How can you help?
Yeah, so we kind of look at the opportunity customers have got to really bring the core assets, which are connectivity and other things, and then to actually move out to adjacencies by bringing in partners and solution providers, and really being able to work digitally online and sell things online, the whole customer journey online, and really create solutions for the different customer groups, whether that's SMB, whether that's enterprises, whether that's even the consumer sector. But the whole thing is around, hyper automating the model, using AI, bringing a great customer experience to life, and then bringing in partners. You might have, 100, 200, 500, 1,000 partners, making the partner journey super simple and easy to navigate. But then really creating those compelling solutions in a sort of co-create, co-innovate, co-invest type way with the telco, so that you're enlarging their portfolio of revenue opportunities. So when they've got that hyper-automated model, they've got that umbrella customer experience, bringing all the various pieces together. You've got that great buying journey using AI and other things. And then you've got that partner ecosystem where you've got compelling new solutions that customers want to buy and solve customer problems. That's kind of where we've been dwelling, should we say, for the last 10, 12 years. And yes, we can, we come out of the BSS space, and so we can do all the connectivity things, but it's so much more than that is now needed. We really need to be able to move and help, grow revenue, reduce costs, and provide a compelling customer experience.
Fantastic proposition. So as we enter the summer months, I guess you're not slowing down. You're at the upcoming Telecom Forum
Yeah,
Ignite
yeah,
event, I think. Tell us about that and what are some of the topics on hand there?
I mean, TM Forum is really sort of the ICT side
Mm,
of the telecoms industry. A lot of the standards around things like APIs, the open digital architecture, and so the community there tends to be more the IT and research ends of telco. Very interested in the standards and the big topics there will be AI because that's where it is on the hype curve. We've got a lot of the telcos really looking at how to transform. So there's often a lot of conversations around digital transformation. That's why it's called the Digital Transformation World, clear the title there. And we're a platinum sponsor there, so we're super exciting. That's based in Copenhagen in the middle of June. There should be about several thousand people there, and a lot of the big telcos, tier ones, will be there.
fantastic. We'll look forward to updates. Thanks so much for this quite tour de force of the telecom landscape. I learned a lot. Really appreciate your time and insights, Angus, and have a great
Thank you.
event. Have a great summer.
Thank you, Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much.